Yamana Ginde, Goomeroi Wanangulda. I speak Goomeroi. I'm from the Cabin Gunigal clan of the Moree-Railway people of the Goomeroi Nation. I would like to invite the NITV news to our country on the land we stand on.
Coming to you tonight from the Old Leagues Club in Moree, home to the mighty Moree Boomerangs. Around 1,000 people are expected here to gather at the footy ground tonight for a special community concert to mark 50 years since the Freedom Ride, led by Charlie Perkins, rolled into town to highlight the discrimination faced by Aboriginal people in regional New South Wales and to shine a light on the poor state of Koori health, housing and education. To mark the 50th anniversary of that historic bus ride, a group of Sydney University students have joined with some of the original Freedom Riders and Charlie Perkins' daughter Rachel Perkins to retrace parts of that journey. Their bus arrived in the centre of Moree at around lunchtime today, where they were welcomed by a small but appreciative group of locals.
Moree was always a very racist town. Things have changed dramatically since that Freedom Ride. You see our kids are in school now, they're mixing with the non-Aboriginal kids. They go to the same school, they play in the same sports, they go to the pool, which I wasn't allowed to do. But I didn't want to go there anyhow, I swam in the river.
And when Charlie comes along, and there's a lot of things that have been broken, like the racism, and I was one of the kids he picked up took me to the swimming pool, because we used to swim in the river, and there was so much racism. And I remember the times they used to throw, as we standing there as the kids, they'd throw tomatoes and eggs at us. We was ducking and weaving and that, trying to get away from them, but we all got hit.
I am Aboriginal and lived here all my life, but I used to walk through those gates over there and never get pulled up about, oh, you're Aboriginal or anything like that. And I used to go with white people and I went with dark people, but we had the fair skin. And we were never ever questioned about if you were Aboriginal or not. So I always thought then, well, they're only looking at the colour of your skin.
I went with my cousin one day and she was a lot fairer, and they said, oh, your cousin can come in, but you wait till she comes out. And I was silly enough to wait. And when she came out, I said, oh, it's my turn now. Oh, no, you're not allowed in here.
I remember growing up, you couldn't go into the shops and try on clothes, you weren't allowed. And, you know, I come from the mission, I grew up on the mission, but things have changed a lot now. It seems more freer and happier, Moree is today, moving along forward.
But there's been a lot of changes since the Freedom Ride, and changes for the better for both Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal.
You know, we've got our kids going to education. A lot of our kids are going to Year 12. We've got young Aboriginal people working in different fields at Moree. Second in charge of council is an Aboriginal person, Mitchell Johnson, who's the president of our Boomerang Football Club. So, and a lot more. So, yeah, it's changing and it's going to get better.
You look around the town now and you see families and it's mixed, it's black and white. So things are changing.
Go forward, don't go backwards. Slim Dusty song, looking forward, not looking back.
Charlie Perkins, I owe him in very high esteem, that man. We, Aboriginal people of Australia owe him a great deal, because he was the leader. He's the closest thing to a leader that we've ever had in this country. And as far as I'm concerned, we owe him a great deal.
As the Freedom Rides rolled into Moree, the memories of 1965 came flooding back for Goomeroi legend, Uncle Lyall Munro Sr.
50 years I walked every yard of it, every stretch of it. Never stopped carrying on what the Freedom Ride meant in those 50 years, why they came.
The scenes of violence out the front of the Moree pool live with him today.
We were fighting for the cause, but not in the manner in which the Freedom Ride done, so we stood and watched in the crowd and let the kids get up the front in the bus ride with Charlie, and it was their day, and it was an ugly scene. Pretty rowdy, pretty wild.
A lot of violence that day?
Yeah, tried to, a lot of violence. Jim Spielman, now he got knocked out, he got king-eated and knocked out. And he went on to be the Chief Justice in all courts in New South Wales.
There was a big crowd of locals and they were very hostile. By and large, it was throwing eggs and tomatoes, but I was in the crowd and I was king hit. There was no permanent damage, though the afternoon newspaper in Sydney had a picture of me with the headline "Victim," which my mother thought was fantastic.
The racism and segregation that existed in Moree in the 1960s rocked Uncle Lyall. He says it was like apartheid.
The discrimination was, the motion was a stepping stone away from apartheid. It was there, like the deep south of America, that's why we call it the deep south of Australia. It's a documentation written by law, they thought, but legally it wasn't, to say that Aborigines couldn't swim in the pool, although the pool was built on Aborigine ground and Aborigine land and come up from Aborigine water just about. They couldn't walk on public footpaths. They couldn't use public toilets. They couldn't sit at the back of the picture show. They had to sit up front. They couldn't be served in clubs and pubs or cafes or use any meals or stand up and be served last. If you went into a shop and you asked something, it could be some Europeans in there. You had to stand there and wait. That was a common thing.
While race relations have improved, there is still much work to do. Uncle Lyall has called on the Moree Shire Council to publicly apologise to the Aboriginal community for its racist policies of the past. He believes an apology can help the community heal, and Kevin Rudd proved it.
One of the elders won't turn up any of the functions that I've been talking to now for a week because the memories still are there that bad. Itself, we've been asking for an apology for the council, but they apologise. And the council will say, they're saying, I've got farmers who wrote to the council, I've got the Lyall Creek Committee is wrote to the council, the Reconciliation Committee in Sydney is wrote to the council, and individual people wrote to the council asking for an apology from the Moree-Railway Council on behalf of the concerned Europeans and Aboriginal people of that act, that motion.
And they never apologised to this day?
Not yet.
Danny Teese-Johnson with a true defender of the people for NITV News.
Well, the New South Wales government says the state is now prouder of its ancient Aboriginal roots than ever before, and the Freedom Rides played an important role in that change. Victor Dominello says the ride rightly brought attention to racism in regional Australia.
I've got no doubt that what took place in 1965 was a seismic shift in the way that we viewed who we are as Australians. It was the first time, it was an awakening in many ways of the appalling practices that took place that many people didn't want to think about. Many people just, realised it was happening, but thought, it doesn't really impact on me, so I don't need to address it. But as a result of those freedom rides, it became part of the consciousness of ordinary Australians, and they were forced to look and think about what was happening in their own backyard.